Hello and welcome to our regular Ubuntu Community Team Q&A. We do this every Tuesday at about 1500 UTC, or whatever time that is where you are, you can figure it out. My name is Alan Pope, and with me this week is Michael Hall. Hello.
Hello.
And back from vacation, David Planella. Hello.
Hey everyone.
It might take a minute to figure out how this works again.
Yeah, his brain's turned to mush while he's in the home.
Yeah, that's why we've got a full team one today, because I would probably not be able to answer all of the questions.
If you want to ask a question, the best thing to do is to go to ubuntuonair.com, and you'll find there's a little chat thing underneath the video. Ask your questions in there, prefix them with the word question, and then they highlight in our IRC channel. Alternatively, if you have a real IRC client, then you can point it at Freenode and join the hash Ubuntu-on-air channel and type your questions in there, and also chat to the other people who are in there as well. So, are there any things we need to mention before we get started on questions?
Yes, we should talk about UbuCon Europe, which is coming up in November, and they just published the preliminary information about it on ubucon.org.
And that's at Essen, at Unperfect House, I believe, in Essen. Is that right?
Unperfect House? Is that it?
I think that's what it's called.
That sounds less than ideal.
It's actually quite a cool venue, regardless of the name. We've got several different rooms. We cannot really talk about tracks because there's quite a lot of them. But there's quite a lot of content going on at the same time. The schedule is packed with talks and workshops. And yes, we should mention as well that Essen is in Germany, so it's easy and it's quite central. So it's easy to come from different parts of Europe. And if I remember correctly, and I would have to check the website, it's from the 18th to the, let me just check, ubucon.org, by the way. Yeah. So if you want to check yourselves, remember to go to ubucon.org, and that's from the 18th to the 20th of November. The weekend will start with Friday with a gathering and social event, and then the next 2 days are the proper talk days. Saturday.
Can we talk about the keynote speaker? Is that confirmed?
Yes, it is.
So we've got Jane Silber, the CEO of Canonical, is going to be giving the keynote for UbuCon LA. So that's really exciting.
UbuCon EU, Daniel.
EU, sorry. So UbuCon LA just wrapped up 2 weeks ago, so it's still on my brain. I've been working with Jose on that. Sorry, UbuCon Europe.
Excellent. Yeah, so many UbuCons going on at the moment.
It is.
All right.
I tell you what, UbuCon Europe and UbuCon LA have both grown quite a bit over the last few years. It's been really neat watching them do that too, because these are, community-led events. This is not something that Canonical or the community team are creating or organizing. We're, helping them as much as we can, but these are community people who are making community events that we just, we show up to and give talks as much as we can. But it's really cool to see them grow like that.
Awesome. Should we? Anything else we need to announce or mention at all?
Yes. Global Jam. Global Jam is coming up this weekend. So if you have not planned anything yet, now's the time to start talking to your Loco team and getting your event listed on loco.ubuntu.com. There's some links on loco.ubuntu.com/events. Find the Global Jam event, and there will be links to various wiki pages that give you ideas of how to organize one. If you have any questions about organizing one, well, you're here, so it's a good time to ask those questions, and we can help you out.
It's worth noting, though, that that you don't have to stick to this weekend. We sent out some notifications to the Loco teams to say, hey, we're having a Global Jam this weekend. Some of them have already planned something on another weekend, so you don't have to stick to this schedule. The Loco teams are, perfectly at liberty to run their own events at whatever location and whatever time suits them, really.
Yeah.
Cool. Should we get on with some questions then?
Yes, I think so. Hopefully nothing about trees this week.
Trees. Oh gosh, yeah, it was trees and sandwiches.
Yes,
You missed
trees
out
and
on
sandwiches.
trees and sandwiches, David. The first question is from Simon. Hello, Simon, who asks, when will David Calais get Ubuntu membership? Well, now, so for those who don't know, Ubuntu membership is a recognition of contribution made to the Ubuntu project. If you go to wiki.ubuntu.com/membership, you can find out all about it. And people who've worked in the community for a while often apply for membership. David Calais has worked in the community for a very long time and has so far neglected to apply for membership, I think is probably the best way to say it.
Yes.
And what we tend to ask people to do is when you're going to apply for membership is you create a page on the wiki, and pages about you, and often people will put a section for testimonials. So if you've worked with David Calais, you think he should be a member, then you should go and find David Calais' wiki page and add a testimonial to the bottom, and that will probably motivate him to apply for membership, I would imagine.
And applying for membership isn't a requirement. I know, a lot of people may not feel comfortable with it or don't think that they're there yet. It doesn't stop you from contributing to Ubuntu in any way or participating in the community in any way. It does give you some nice perks. It lets you get an @ubuntu.com email address. You get a IRC cloak on Freenode. You get to put that you're an Ubuntu member on business cards if you want to do that. There are a couple other perks that I don't remember. I think you still get a Linux Weekly News subscription as part of it. So there are perks to getting it if you've been involved in the community for a while. I think you should go for it. I think it's valuable to do. But it's a personal decision, and if David doesn't want to or doesn't want to right now, then that's his choice.
Yeah, but we'll still keep asking him.
Yes. Friendly reminders. Friendly.
Exactly. We've been applying quite a lot of friendly pressure on him.
So the next question is from Chloe Wolfie Girl, and this is, how are you?
Oh man, difficult questions.
Always with the tricky ones.
Yes.
I'm fine, thank you. It's warm. It's so hot here. I don't know how you can live in
shut
Florida,
up.
Mike. It's like sunny and everything.
I am inside with my central air conditioning, so I'm doing well.
Good. I'm doing well after coming from holidays as well. I'd still like to be on holidays, but I was looking forward to see you all. So.
Oh, you look forward to see our faces. That's right. That's why.
He missed us so much.
Okay. Next question from Simon was, who's doing the Q&A? It's us.
Full team today, or nearly full team today. Daniel is still on holiday.
Next question is for Mike from Chloe, asking, since there's been no official Ubuntu device for America, when will Michael Hall make his own phone hardware company so he can have an official Ubuntu phone? Come on, Mike, sort of.
I know. I've been procrastinating and slacking on this for a little while now. The big blocker is really just finding somebody to give me $32 million. After that, it's easy.
Good answer. I have to say, having been to FOSDEM on more than one occasion and seen the work that people do to make fully free software phones, like the Replicant project and the old OpenMoco, and it is a significant amount of effort to make like any kind of phone. So yeah, good luck, Mike.
All right. The next one is from Slug Jam. It's what are your favorite new games for the phone or tablet? So I don't know about you guys, but I am still trying to finish all the levels in Balls. I've made it to the ice world. That's as far as I've gotten so far. I've seen there's been a couple new games though. There's that new fish shooter or something, I think was the name.
Yeah, that started out as a benchmark, just to see how many fish you could draw on the screen at once, and then it turned into an actual vertical scrolling shoot 'em up game, like it does, benchmarks that turn into games.
Yeah. And then I just saw one on Google Plus. Somebody posted, I think it was called Switch. I don't exactly know how it works. It involves numbers somehow. But it looks pretty good. It might be worth trying out.
I've actually been playing around with not playing games on the phone, but actually writing games for the phone. I've been playing around with an HTML5 platform called Phaser.io because I wanted to create a couple of simple, like very basic games. And it's worth the look if you're interested in creating browser-based games. Phaser.io, Phaser.io, and I was using some artwork from a guy called Kenny, KENNEY.nl. Has a load of free game artwork and assets that you can reuse. So I've just been using that to create little prototype silly games. And when I finish one in my copious spare time, I may publish it to the store. But not until it actually works.
All right. The next question is for you, Alan. It says Popey has a video of DOSBox with Doom running on the E4.5. I tried this recently with Libertine and it was unusably slow. How did you get this working, and how come Libertine is so much slower?
So I don't know why Libertine is slower. I don't know what Libertine is doing. This is the Doom running on the E4.5. And this is a bit of a bod. It's pretty slow for me as well. I mean, as you can see there, it's not super fast. Well, look at that frame rate. Terrible. That is actually DOSBox built for the ARM CPU, so it's emulating a full PC.
Well, that might explain some of it. If you're having to translate x86 into ARM instructions.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not the best way to do it. I mean, it probably would have been better to just take the Doom ARM binary and try and get that working. But I was just playing with DOSBox because I wanted to get some old MS-DOS games running on my Ubuntu phone. And Doom is obviously the canonical example of a game that you try getting running everywhere. And it worked. So DOSBox, the version that I'm using there is SDL2, built against SDL2, and it's just the MS-DOS version of Doom running inside it. There's nothing special, but yeah, it's not super fast. I think I've tried it on the faster phones, but it's still not brilliant because it's trying to do a lot of work. I don't think I've got it installed on my Pro. Oh, I have got it installed on my Pro 5. And it is a bit faster, but it's still pretty horrible. So I can't answer your question about Libertine, but I would imagine, actually that's not a bad frame rate on the Pro 5.
And that's also running in the DOSBox?
Yeah, that's still DOSBox.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet that probably the CPU translation is the biggest bottleneck, and after that probably going from, I'm assuming it runs in X11 on Xmure.
Oh, on Libertine, yes, it will be.
Yeah.
The other thing is single-threaded as well because it's MS.
Right. So you're running an x86 X11 app on an ARM mirror device. So you've got two different levels of translation that have to go on there.
It's all good fun.
Yep. It's a good proof of concept that this just works like that.
Okay. Next question. What's the next one?
From Chloe, she's asking her usual question about the HUD. So we were actually just talking earlier about trying to get Kevin Gunn on to maybe talk about what's coming in Unity 8 and the roadmap for that.
Yeah, we should line him up for a Q&A. I think we might have to pre-record a Q&A at another time or something because it's very difficult to get people in this time slot because a lot of people in the company have meetings at this time. So we might have to move it to another time or maybe pre-record it with a bunch of questions that you guys give us or something. We'll figure that out.
Okay. All right. The next one is also from Chloe, and I think it's for me. It is how is E10S on Firefox? So E10S, or electrolysis for the full name, is the new Firefox multi-process framework. So like the way Chrome runs each tab in its own process, they've been working on doing that for Firefox. And the benefit of that is that if one tab is being awfully slow with JavaScript or loading content, it doesn't freeze everything else. The trade-off for that is it takes up more memory and it seems more CPU. So Firefox right now, I mean, it's running Hangouts, so there's that. That hasn't broken for an experimental feature still.
I did like the way that at the point when you said it hasn't broken, you froze. That scared me just a little bit.
Well, I've got a built-in excuse now. If there's any question I don't want to answer, I'll just close the Hangouts and blame it on Firefox.
Right.
But yeah, so it's taking up more RAM. It's taking up quite a bit of CPU, actually, more than the Ubuntu web browser did. And so far, I haven't really noticed any great performance improvements, at least over the Ubuntu browser that I had been using. But I'm going to stick with it for a little while, and I will reserve judgment until I've had more of a chance to use it as a daily driver.
Okay, there's a flood of questions coming in. Let's move on. What's next?
From Jarlath?
Yeah, what improvements to app lifecycle limitations are we likely to see in the future? Ursi would be very handy on the phone.
So what I've done on my phone is I used one of the tweak tools, I don't remember which one, to set the terminal to not be suspended when it goes in the background. And that's a very useful app to not have suspended when it's in the background. And then I'll SSH out from there to my home server, which runs Ursi all the time, and get it that way. So I suppose you could run it locally from within the terminal window.
Yeah, there's also a couple of IRC clients in development. I know there's someone in the Ubuntu Touch channel who's working on an IRC client that runs on the phone and can continue to run in the background. We'll have to see how that develops. I know it's not finished yet, but yeah, the tool is UT Tweak Tool, which is the one that you're talking about. I use the same thing.
Yeah.
I let it set the terminal to run.
Yeah. So I don't think there's any official plans to change the lifecycle on the phone. That may change once everything goes Snappy, because Snappy does support that, while Click did not, but we will see.
Okay, next question from Slugjam. What coding language is best for creating games on Ubuntu phone? It's a tricky one.
QML.
You'd have to ask people who've actually written games. None of us have actually written anything. So, yeah. You could say, yeah, QML would be a good suggestion, especially as that's then cross-platform and it's not unique to our phone. If you create a game in QML, then it would work on a Selfish phone and it would work on desktop and Android. And,
yeah. And as a game engine language, QML is already good. Plus, there's Bacon 2D, which is a wrapper around the Box 2D physics library for QML. That makes it easy to make physics-related games like Angry Birds kind of thing. So that's good. And of course, the other option is HTML5, because we do support a lot of HTML5 in web apps in the phone, including the Cordova API, which is what PhoneGap uses. So you can easily use a lot of the libraries that have been made for HTML5 games without any changes.
Yeah, I found it pretty straightforward. Once you've got an HTML5 game, you can package it up as a Click and put it in the store pretty easily, and it works really well. Okay, next question, Chloe. Has there been any updates to the new scopes designs? Not that I've seen. Not since last week, when you last asked.
Right. And again, that's something that Kevin could probably answer for us. So
right.
We'll either get him on here or do a pre-recorded thing.
Jarlath asks, I wanted to snap the amazing and GPL'd HID client, which would allow us to use Ubuntu phone from your laptop keyboard and mouse, I believe, but it doesn't work with the current Bluetooth stack. It worked on 12.04. Who can I talk to about getting it fixed since the author has disappeared?
So is the bug in HID client, in the Bluetooth stack, or in Snap? Because that's going to depend on where it is going to determine who you have to talk to.
Well, the fact that it says it doesn't work with the current Bluetooth stack kind of implies that it's a Bluetooth issue, first of all. Like maybe.
Well, then he says that the author has disappeared.
Well, there's that.
I'm assuming we still have Bluetooth stack maintainers in Ubuntu.
Right, but it could well be that the app itself, hasn't been updated for the new bits and bobs.
New stack.
Blues 5 or whatever we're using.
Yeah.
That's a tricky one. Yes, put out a call on the internet, I think. I don't know.
I mean, or perhaps on the Ubuntu desktop channel, Ubuntu desktop channel, ask over there. Perhaps you can ping Will Cook or SEP128, even if they cannot help you fix it, because this might be something that's maintained by someone over on the phone team. They might be able to point you in the right direction.
All right. Slug Jam is asking, do you use scopes? And if you do, what are your favorite scopes? So desktop or phone?
Right.
I actually don't use much scopes on the desktop. I use the app scope, obviously, to launch my apps, and I use the one to search for documents, but mostly it's on the phone. I use the news scope quite a lot. But I can't think of any new ones. I tried to use the Telegram one a while ago, but yeah, I prefer in that particular case I prefer to use the app, which allows me to interact with Telegram itself.
Yeah, I'd say app scope, store scope, and the desktop apps scope, the one that lets you launch Libertine like Firefox and all that kind of stuff. Those are the only three that I use.
So I don't find I use scopes too much on either. I mean, the apps that I use 95% of the time are on my launcher, so I don't even use the app scope all that often. When I'm out, I will use the nearby scope quite a bit to try and find local stuff whenever my Nexus 4 GPS is cooperating.
Cool. Let's move on. Slugjam asks, Android N supports Vulkan. How's the Vulkan on Ubuntu phone?
I think Mir has it already, don't we?
I don't know.
I remember seeing some announcement about it. I don't know if it's full Vulkan support or not.
I think so, but I'm not. Again, I'm not an expert on this either. So, but let's see if we can dig out while we're answering other questions. Any announcement on this?
Next one is from
Flaming Turtle.
I'm having a pulled pork hamburger in Germany. Will the mayonnaise be the same? Do they even do westernized style Hellmann's? Hamburger being a bit generic term for this. I have no idea. I've never had a hamburger in Germany, I don't think. Think of sausages.
Yes. I've never had pulled pork with mayonnaise. And I'm a little bit disappointed in you for putting mayonnaise on pulled pork, to be honest.
It should be some kind of barbecue sauce, or
it should be, yes. I take my barbecue seriously, and mayonnaise is offensive.
Okay, moving on.
These Q&As have moved into quite another different direction.
Dude, you should have been here last week. It was bizarre. Next one is from Slugjam. Is it possible to create a 3D game in QML?
Yes. There is, I believe, a cute QML 3D API. I've never used it myself.
Interesting. Oh, here it is. Chloe, if Ubuntu phone was a tree, what kind of tree would it be?
It would be a peanut butter and jelly tree, just like last time.
Yes, of course. Danube asks, since
we should make David answer that one actually, because he missed out last week.
I think he's all right.
Thanks, Poppy.
You're welcome. Danny asks, since Canonical Ubuntu has been so close with Microsoft these days, are there any plans for pushing things towards a point where Ubuntu has a native version of Microsoft Office? And then there's a giant disclaimer about don't get upset that he asked that question. We're never upset with the question you asked.
I don't think you're gonna see like the classic Office on Ubuntu anytime soon, because that's such an old code base with so much legacy in it. That would probably just be a nightmare to even try to get running on anything but Windows. You also have to remember that Microsoft is a huge company with different components, and the ones that have been working with us are not the ones that are working on Office right now. So it's nice to see that parts of the company are being open source friendly and cross-platform friendly, and we should encourage that whenever they do it.
Yeah, absolutely. The next question, well, my standard answer to that is you'd have to ask Microsoft, because it's their code, it's their product. If they want to open source it or move it to another platform, then they're the ones that decide that. So,
I mean, for things like Bash on Windows and like SQL Server on Ubuntu, these were things where more or less they said, "Hey, this is what we're doing. This is what's stopping us from doing it. Would you fix it?" And then we fixed it. So it's not like we have high-level planning to bring these things to Ubuntu and then investing a lot of stuff in it.
Right. It's also Microsoft is to some degree, or at least in part, trying to fulfill the requirements of their customers, and almost certainly the vast majority of Microsoft customers run Microsoft Windows, and so I would expect a small proportion of Microsoft customers run Microsoft Office, so the chance to recoup the cost of porting across to Ubuntu is probably slim. Whereas for tools like DevOps tools like PowerShell and that which you don't pay for, there's less of a driver there.
Right. Those are also areas where their target demographic is using Ubuntu already.
Right, and their customers specifically ask them for that. So
yeah. So unless there's a large group of Ubuntu desktop customers that say we want Office on Ubuntu, then they don't really have much motivation to do that.
So next question is from Jarlath, who asks, Libertine apps aren't currently added into the Bash path. Can that happen? It's handy for command line apps.
I don't think Click apps are either, are they? They're all launched from
desktop,
from the scope, or from the there's a command line tool that you can give a Click package name and it will launch it.
Ubuntu App Launch.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's an equivalent of for Libertine where you can give it the name and it will find it.
It does sound like something that should be, fixable, but I expect, because that's all click-based, I expect that probably wouldn't get much attention, given that we're moving over to snaps, and with snaps, the launch scripts are in the path. So that's fixed by moving to snaps. So there we go, we fixed that bug.
Yeah. Yay. Okay. Chloe's asking, when will Microsoft bring Microsoft Office to Ubuntu Phone?
See previous answer.
Just after they bring it to the desktop.
Jarlath says, how come the Today Scope still has user-facing bugs? I could ask the same thing about Firefox. Everything has user-facing bugs.
Yeah. That's why software's never done. There's always something missing, something broken.
If there's one that is particularly egregious and is irritating, then let us know, or gather some friends who are like-mindedly irritated about that bug, and you can click the little "This affects me" in Launchpad to let the developers know that it's an important bug for you and your friends.
And in fact, we have a global jam coming up this weekend, which would be a perfect opportunity for you and your friends to meet at a coffee shop. And if you can't fix the bug, at least triage it for the developers to make it easier for them.
Yep. Chloe asks, will Today Scope become an aggregator for all scopes, with other scopes being involved in their specific areas?
So it already is an aggregator. I think it's one of the ones where it specifies what child scopes it's going to use instead of using the keywords function. So I'm not sure if third-party scopes can feed into the today scope yet or not.
Okay. Chloe asks, messaging framework update? I don't think there is one.
That was with Thomas Voss, who unfortunately could not be on this week either. Next one is from Flaming Turtle. It says, I was on the ReactOS IRC channel since last week. An interesting question would be, what year shall Wine become mainstream enough to get Sony Vegas or something like Adobe Live MP3 editor on Ubuntu? So,
go on.
Go ahead. Nope, you go.
So from my point of view, Wine improves every year, and the problem is that they're always chasing the Windows APIs and the applications that are using them. So I don't think Wine will ever get to perfection, but it will, as time goes on, get to the point where it can run a 3-year-old version of your most popular application, or a 4-year-old version, or 2 versions back from whatever's the current version. But that's always been the case, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
That's pretty much exactly what I was going to say.
Woohoo! Go team.
All right, Simon is asking, what is this YouTube Live thing?
So it's basically Google have more than one platform for doing live video streaming, and they're consolidating them. So they're getting rid of Hangouts on Air through Google Plus, and they're moving that into YouTube Live. They've put a post up that it's going to be moved over on September the 12th, but we've decided to start using it early to make sure that it all works for us. That's it.
And it's not really a big change. I mean, it was always streamed through YouTube anyway, and Google Plus was always, well, not always, but in like the last year has been integrated with YouTube also. So it's really more of a rebranding than actual changes. And in fact, our URL up here still says hangouts.google.com, even though we're on YouTube Live.
Yep. So next question. This is from Simon. What web browser do you use and why? Chrome, because it's better than the others.
Freedom hater.
I was going to say that.
But Chrome or Freedom hater?
No, the second, just because of blaming Poppy for something. No, they're all valid browsers. I use Firefox myself because it's been working well for me over the years. I know it's good. It's got some issues, but then other browsers do as well. And I think I like Mozilla as well as a company. I like what they're doing. I like supporting them. But I'm happy with other people choosing others as well.
So as of today, I'm on Firefox. But since March or so, I had been using the Ubuntu web browser as my daily one because it's got the lowest memory footprint and some of the best performance, despite all of its quirks that it has.
Okay, next question. Let's say you're having a problem with Ubuntu. Where do you go to get help? As in, what's your preferred method of support? Ooh. That's good, I like that.
So you always have to file Launchpad bugs. Everybody's got to file Launchpad bugs, even if you know who's responsible for their code, and even if you know that they broke the code and what they did to break it, you still have to file Launchpad bugs.
Well, it's tricky because, I interpret the question as, when something doesn't work, it's not necessarily a bug.
How do I do this?
Or
something's not working as expected.
Or something happens and you need help. Where do you go?
Yeah, and what I tend to do, if I happen to know the person who's working on that, I'll just ping them on IRC. But failing that, I will go to Ask Ubuntu actually, I think for me personally, as Ubuntu is what's been working best, because when I find the solution, if it wasn't in there, what I tend to do is I either find an answer question of someone who was trying to do the same, or file a new question myself, and then I can answer it with the solution. So I like this self-sustaining part of Ask Ubuntu as well. So yeah, for me it would be Ask Ubuntu, I think, let's say in summary.
So for me, it depends on which bit's broken. If I know the thing that's busted, then I'll go probably directly to the IRC channel for the team that look after that. So if it's a desktop thing, I'll go to Ubuntu Desktop IRC. If it's kernel, I'll go to the kernel channel and speak to people and say, is this expected, or invariably they'll say yes, it's this bug, or no, file a bug.
And you don't even have to know the person in those channels. You can just throw the question out and somebody will answer you.
Yeah, it's actually better to not ping people directly because you interrupt them from their work. It's better to just ask the question and then be patient and wait for the person, the person who's around to reply.
Yeah.
I would agree with David. Ask Ubuntu is brilliant. I love it. And I actually noticed there was a community person asked a question last night and got first line support from Mark Shuttleworth answering their question directly on Ask Ubuntu. So, yeah, I think that's a good endorsement of the product.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to skip any tree-related questions from now on. So the next one is from Simon. He asked, do you prefer Facebook or Twitter? And I noticed he didn't mention Google Plus in there at all.
I mean, I myself use Google Plus more than Facebook or Twitter, to be honest. I'm going to take C.
Yeah.
I would say none of the above. I think they're all rubbish.
You still on Identica then?
Yeah, no, Diaspora. And now that I've mentioned Diaspora, I have to go and log into Diaspora for the first time. Gareth asks, will the Dialer app and others ever open in under a second on the E4.5, or should I get a more powerful phone? I think there's certainly limits to how fast we can get those apps to launch, and I know there is a team working on performance of everything in Ubuntu, but that's a long, slow, painful process to optimize every single application.
Right. So I remember there being a discussion a year or two ago about actually having things like this constantly running, the process running, or loaded but suspended, so that it can be really quickly started when needed for things like the dialer and possibly the camera. And I think somebody mentioned that this is what Android does for some of these. So that might be an option. I don't know why that wasn't done yet, if it was because of memory usage or what. So it's possible. There are ways to achieve it, but there are trade-offs with it also.
Yeah. Also, you have to remember that the E4.5, and remember this is an E4.5 user speaking, is a phone that's relatively old in smartphone for smartphone. Anyway, it's a pretty old device, and right now, if you play with any other more modern phone, you already see quite a lot of improvement. So there's something to bear in mind as well.
Okay, we've got about 20 minutes left and about 1,000 questions. So.
Oh wow! Okay.
Tweet size answers for some of these. Simon asks, what temperature is it right now by you? 27.
25 Celsius.
There we go.
33.
Sorry, 33. What in?
In Celsius, it's 93 Fahrenheit.
Have you metrificated the US single-handedly?
No. I switched my weather app specifically to Celsius just to show everybody.
Excellent.
All right.
Asks, did you do any development with Qt or GTK? If so, what did you do?
Yes. A couple apps. Tweet size answers.
I mentioned the app's mic already, at least.
Oh, sorry. Hello Unity is GTK, and uReddit is QML.
Cool. I've done some development with both actually, and both were for the same app. It's called Creator. You can get it with a queue. You can get it from the Ubuntu archives on your desktop, and I created the same one in Qt QML for the phone, but had some problems getting the QR code decoder working, so it's not published at the moment. But I'm planning to revive it at some point.
Does QML count under the Qt banner? In which case, I've done like some patches for the. Oh, actually, I have a QML app in the store. I've just remembered.
I was going to ask you if that was written in QML.
Yeah. I have a couple of QML apps in the store, but yeah, not a huge amount. I'm not a hardcore developer. Yeah. Simon asks, what tool do you use for taking screenshots? My answer is written in Perl, and I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, I was thinking the same as well. I'm not using it. Yeah, I'm not using it regularly. I now use the GNOME screenshot, but I've used Shutter in the past, and it's actually quite awesome.
Yeah, I love it. It's got
GNOME screenshot's all I use.
You got GNOME screenshot?
Yep.
Right.
Simon asks, as Ubuntu 16.10 is still in development, are you running it now, or are you still on 16.04? I am still on 04.
Same here.
Yeah, I am as well.
On 04. I'm not moving to 16.10. This laptop is staying LTS. Yeah, I say that, and then like someone will sit next to me and go, "Hey, look at this cool stuff," and I'll upgrade, and then get really angry with myself. Someone asks, Michael, what do you think would be the best device to buy in the US that you can use Ubuntu Touch on that works with US phone services?
If you want to reliably work, get a Nexus 4. It's the only one that was designed to work in the US, so that's really your best bet.
Okay.
Alright, so Jarlith asks, why does an apparently simple bug take 2 years to fix? 2 reasons. Either it appears simple and it's not, or nobody's working on it. So if it is actually a simple bug, and the problem is just that nobody's working on it, then the good news is that you can do that. And you can join that project and fix that bug and be a contributor to it. And everybody wins.
Cool. Yeah, I have nothing to add to Mike's answer, but I think I'd remove the simple part from that bug. I mean, looking at this just from a quick glance, it has to do with sound, rerouting sound, and that's generally not easy.
Yeah, a lot of bugs appear simple until you actually dig into all the pieces that go into it. Right, Flaming Turtle asks, wouldn't it be great if some of the devs actually saw the app ideas on /r/Ubuntu App Showdown coming to fruition? Note, this is just a shameless plug for Reddit. So I know a lot of devs do look at it. I think there's also an app dev subreddit, although it's /r/Ubuntu is by far the more active subreddit there. Again, it's just a matter of getting people to do it, and it's not just canonical devs that are working on this. Anybody who wants to work on a feature or fix a bug can join in and start doing that.
The other thing is, ideas are easy. Anyone can have ideas. I can scribble in a notepad 100 ideas for apps, but you need to find someone with the time, motivation, and the skills to actually do it. And it's not just as simple as getting people to just look at the ideas, because everyone's got ideas. It's getting the time and motivation and skills to do it. Chloe asks, do you remember Mr. Blobby? I would imagine I'm the only one out of the three of us that remembers Mr. Blobby.
I have no idea what Mr. Blobby is.
Yeah, I'd leave it that way.
Yeah. Good. All right. So let's move that one to the trees carpet. And the trees carpet.
All right, Danu Bass, I might get stoned by an angry mob, but what do I care? Are Ubuntu flavors taking so important and limited resources from development of the main Ubuntu version? I'm going to say unequivocally no, that they are not. That if anything, the flavors are adding to the resources and contributors that we have on the main Ubuntu version.
Yeah, and one thing you have to think of is that quite often we're working, and when I say we, as I just say the global Ubuntu community, and specifically then the flavor community are working on common packages. And some of the fixes to those packages benefit both the main Ubuntu image and then the flavors as well. So you think about it as something that's adding or that's complementary.
I mean, all of the fixes that flavors make are going to benefit everybody. That's what makes flavors great. They're part of the same archive. They're part of the same project. So you've got a whole bunch of KDE apps, mostly because of the Kubuntu flavor. You've got all the Ubuntu Mate stuff because of that flavor that you wouldn't have as a regular Ubuntu user otherwise.
Okay, next question.
So much for tweet-sized.
Chloe asked, will there be another Ubuntu Edge? No.
Prove him wrong.
All right, next.
All right. Chloe's asking, when will everything be snappied? Eventually.
Yeah.
Right, by about the year of the Linux desktop, everything will be snappied. Right. Simon's asking, what's the purpose of the Ubuntu Foundation? So this was something that was set up early on in Ubuntu's history, and it's more or less an insurance policy for people who are investing in Ubuntu for like their infrastructure. So people didn't want to roll out 1,000 Ubuntu desktops or servers unless they knew that it was going to get support for at least the amount of time we said it was going to get support for. So the Ubuntu Foundation is there in case something happens to Canonical. That will keep Ubuntu support going until the end of the life cycles for any currently supported release. That's its main purpose. Right. Chloe's asking, why isn't everything a snap yet? Because you haven't snapped everything yet. Again, the perpetual problem is, we just need more people working on it. The more people working on something, the more stuff gets fixed.
All right, let me pick the next one. Dragon77 is asking, are there any Ubuntu Linux related student ambassadorship programs? Not Ubuntu ones that I know of right now. I know that the GNOME Foundation has got some sponsorship programs. I'm not sure if they are student related, but I don't know. I mean, there's nothing that comes to my mind unless you guys can think of one in particular. No. All right. So next question from Fleming Turtle. Does Canonical, like other UK companies, take their Wikipedia entry for Ubuntu seriously enough to edit it themselves, or get their minims to do it, i.e. to take out pages from the Ubuntu wiki page collection, e.g. Ubuntu TV? I'm not sure what the question actually implies, but first of all, Canonical is not maintaining, as far as I know, the Ubuntu Wikipedia entry. I'd say that it goes in line with what we're doing with the Ubuntu Wiki as well. That's that everyone is free to update it, and then it's up for the moderators to make sure that the content is correct and that there's no vandalism and so on. I don't think Canonical has to be the owner of the Wikipedia entry for Ubuntu, especially. And in fact,
I'm pretty sure that Wikipedia frowns on you editing and maintaining an entry about you.
Right. Yeah. It might well be. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't have a policy at all for editing that Wikipedia page, but if any one of us sees something that's wrong, then we'll probably edit it and fix it. I know I've edited one of the Ubuntu pages. The interesting thing is those edits, because we all work from home, you'll probably see those edits come from IP addresses that aren't, canonical headquarters edited this wiki page. So they're just individuals who are interested in the project. I know I've edited those pages before, but long ago. I haven't touched them since because everyone else seems to keep them up to date.
Okay. We've got about 8 minutes. Do you guys want to go through the list in sequence, or shall we just randomly pick some?
Pick some interesting ones. I've just seen one from Chloe who asks, when will we see new core app updates? You'll see one this afternoon, one tomorrow, and another one in about a week and a half.
All right. Chloe also asked, are there any plans to switch from Hangouts or YouTube Live to something more open source? So we do look at options as they're presented to us. The big thing is finding something that both streams live and has a recording for later that doesn't require us to maintain infrastructure for it. Hangouts and Ubuntu on Air were easy because they were easy to get set up with and started with. It took little investment or time from us to do that.
And it's also the fact that we're all remote as well. It's not like we're sat in an office where there could be a broadcast room with a machine that records and uploads to YouTube. We're all remote, and so it would have to be something that works on all of our machines and doesn't require massive infrastructure at everyone's houses in order to stream the video.
All right. Chloe's also asking, what app do you wish was converged the most? So I will put out that I'm still waiting for Deco desktop app. There were some bugs that were making it unusable for me on the desktop last time I tried. So
on the subject of Deco, Dan submitted the latest build of Deco to QA last week, and they found 3 bugs, 3 maybe 4 I think, which are currently being worked on, and once those are fixed, plus a couple of other things, I think there'll be a new version of Deco in the store, and perhaps also a snap for desktop use.
Excellent.
Flaming Turtle asks, what store can I buy an Ubuntu phone from? If not now, then when? I don't think there are any currently available to purchase. I think all the models that had been out there have been sold out now and are not being made anymore. So you'll have to wait for the next product announcement to know that. Which, again, we do not do on these Q&As. All right, Chloe's asking, will there be a way to hide results with content you don't want to see in the Ubuntu store, such as 18-plus apps? I know there were discussions and designs around that. It's not implemented yet in the store. I don't know what the plan and roadmap is for that. All right, how many do we have left? Too many, it looks like. All right, let's pick one. Let's see. Nexus is asking, what are the main issues moving the phone to 16.04? So one of the big ones was the switch to systemd. So currently the phone is running Upstart for the init, and since that's not used as the init in 16.04, we're going to have to move the phone over to use systemd, which requires a specific set of kernel interfaces that were not necessarily available in the older kernels that we got from the manufacturers of these phones. So they're kind of a chicken and egg thing going on with that. That's going to take a while to get resolved. Right. Chloe's asking, when can I install Ubuntu Personal? If you mean Unity 8 on the desktop, you can do that right now just by installing the Unity 8 desktop session package. and then log out, and at the login screen you'll see an option for that. If you mean a completely snap-based desktop image, that is being planned, but it's not anywhere near ready yet.
We've got a couple of minutes left. Mike, would you rather be a tree or a wasp?
I thought we agreed no more tree questions.
Oh, okay. It was the wasp bit that threw me.
Okay. I have no idea.
A tree?
Tree. It's got longer lifespan.
Nobody likes wasps.
Yeah, but wasps get to fly, and trees are stuck there.
Okay. You make a compelling argument, Mike. Simon asks, how do you get started contributing to the Ubuntu phone?
You join Ubuntu Touch and you talk to people there, or you get on the phone mailing list. It's going to depend on where you want to contribute to. You can contribute to apps like the core apps. We can get you easily started on those. Those are a nice entry point for somebody who's not like a real core C, C++ developer. If you are one of those, however, you can join in to Unity 8 development itself, or going even lower level into Mir or some of the foundational services in Ubuntu Phone.
Cool. Next question from Simon. Are you attending John O'Bacon's Reddit AMA on the 30th? I didn't even know.
Who is John O'Bacon?
Yes, who is this Bacon? I didn't know he was doing one. When is the 30th?
At the 30th.
It's a week today. So it's, I don't know, was that a thinly veiled advert? Is this person actually Jono pimping his
I'm sure.
No, that was Simon asking if we're going to go troll him on Reddit.
Excellent plan.
Thanks, Simon, for the idea.
All right, so we got time for the last one from Nexus, which is, will phone core apps eventually replace the desktop core apps? I think it's probably too early to tell, and I don't think it's going to be a blanket yes or no. I think some apps will be able to replace some of the defaults, and some of the defaults will run well enough on Unity 8 and snappy Ubuntu Personal that they won't need to be replaced. But it's all going to determine on how things shake out, and we will see and make that decision when it comes to it.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that, you know, different people have different ideas for what they want as a default app, and, you know, there's always lengthy discussions about what the default apps will be on Ubuntu. You know, if you've been around Ubuntu for any length of time, you'll know we have these discussions every 6 months or every year or so about what. So it's not something that we generally just go like that and switch the apps. We'll have a long discussion about whether it's a good idea for our users and whether apps are maintained and so on and so on.
Yes, the one thing we can say with certainty was that whether we replace them or not, somebody is going to be mad at us for it.
Yes. Awesome. Okay, we're at the top of the hour, so that's the end of the Q&A. Thank you everyone for watching. If you missed any of it, you can see it on YouTube on the Ubuntu On Air channel. If you want to see future ones, then subscribe. And if you follow Ubuntu On Air on Google Plus and Twitter, you'll also get notifications of upcoming videos. We do this one every week at 3 o'clock UTC, or whatever time that is where you are. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone, for asking super questions, even the ones about trees.
Thank you, everyone. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.